Okay, so the Bermuda Triangle. I'm sure most of you listening have heard the stories, right? Ships and planes just vanishing, like swallowed up by something. Well, today we're going to do a deep dive into it.
Sounds good.
We have this article here. Bermuda Triangle. Mysteries, maps, and facts.
Okay.
See if we can separate, the fact from fiction. What do you say?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so first off, when we say Bermuda Triangle, what are we even talking about? I mean, this article says it's somewhere in the North Atlantic.
Right.
Between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not an officially recognized place. You won't find it on any maps.
Nope. No government, no maritime organization, nobody claims it.
So how did this idea, this triangle, become so, I don't know, so ingrained in our culture, if it's not even a real place?
Well, I think it's that, we as humans, we love mysteries. We're drawn to things we can't easily explain. And the Bermuda Triangle, with all these stories of disappearances, it really plays into that fascination, doesn't it?
Yeah, we want answers. And when we don't have them, I guess our imaginations take over.
Exactly.
This article really digs into some of those famous disappearances, the ones that made the Bermuda Triangle so famous. Like, take the USS Cyclops, for example. This huge ship vanished in 1918, just gone.
Yeah.
Over 300 people on board.
And a full load of manganese ore.
Yeah, just poof.
No distress signals, no wreckage, nothing. Just gone.
I mean, that's not just some little boating accident.
Oh, no,
right?
this is huge. A massive ship disappearing during wartime, no less.
Yeah.
Really added to the whole mystery.
Yeah, fueled all sorts of theories.
Right.
And then there's the case of Flight 19, 5 Navy bombers.
On a training flight, right. Routine stuff.
Yeah, in 1945. And same story. They vanish. No distress calls, no wreckage.
Looks like they just flew into another dimension.
Yeah, and these weren't just random incidents. They were highly publicized, you know? So it really fed this narrative of the Bermuda Triangle as this, like, I don't know.
This hungry void.
Yeah, like something out there is pulling things down.
And these cases, the Cyclops, Flight 19, they really put the Bermuda Triangle on the map, so to speak. Became the foundation for all sorts of speculation.
Right, from like the plausible stuff to the, pretty out there stuff.
Oh, yeah. This article goes through a lot of those wilder theories.
It does. We've got underwater methane eruptions, creating these huge sinkholes that swallow ships whole, or magnetic anomalies that mess with navigation systems, make planes go off course.
Right. Those are some of the popular ones.
It is tempting to believe those, you know?
Oh, for sure. But that's where critical thinking comes in. Got to look at the science. Take those methane eruptions, for example. I mean, they do happen.
Yeah.
But they don't create these instant giant holes in the ocean floor.
So no giant bloop and the ship's gone.
No. It's a way slower, more gradual process.
Okay, so what about the magnetic anomalies?
Well, yeah, the Earth's magnetic field, it does have variations, and those can affect compasses. But these variations are well documented. Navigators know about them. They can account for them. It's very unlikely that they would cause a plane to just suddenly disappear.
So these more sensational explanations,
Right.
They don't really hold up.
Well, not scientifically, no. But the article does give some other explanations, ones that are more grounded in reality.
Right, it talks about weather,
Yeah.
the Gulf Stream, and then just human error.
It's worth thinking about the location we're talking about. The North Atlantic, known for rough weather, especially during hurricane season. And the Gulf Stream is a powerful current, can create sudden storms,
Oh, yeah.
rogue waves.
Big enough to take down even big ships.
Absolutely. And then there's human error.
Yeah, of course.
Mistakes happen. Navigation errors, equipment malfunctions, bad judgment calls. And out on the open ocean, those things could be catastrophic.
Especially in an area like that with such unpredictable conditions.
Exactly. And when you think about it, there's a ton of traffic that goes through that region. It's a major shipping lane.
So just by pure statistics, I guess it's not that surprising that some incidents happen.
Right. Like rolling the dice. Eventually, something's got to come up, Snake Eyes.
Thinking about it like that, it does make you wonder why we jump to these supernatural explanations so quickly.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, isn't it?
It's like we want to blame something other than, I don't know, just bad luck or human mistakes.
It's easier to point to a mysterious force than to acknowledge the complexities of the world, you know?
It's like the Bermuda Triangle becomes this scapegoat.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
We'd rather blame it on, some mythical force than accept that sometimes bad things just happen. Even with all our technology and planning, we're still at the mercy of nature in a lot of ways. And I think that's something a lot of people don't want to admit.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's a tough pill to swallow,
Yeah.
for sure.
And speaking of tough pills to swallow, there are a few things in this article that really challenge the whole Bermuda Triangle myth. Like, for instance, did you know that there's no evidence that pilots or captains actually avoid the area?
Really? You'd think they would, with all the stories.
Yeah, you'd think it would be like a no-fly zone or sailors would take a wide detour. But they don't. It's still a very busy shipping route, which kind of suggests that, the people who actually sail and fly through there,
The ones who know the sea and the air.
yeah, they don't see it as being any more dangerous than other busy areas.
That's a good point.
And then there's this. Statistically, the number of incidents in the Bermuda Triangle, it's not actually higher than in other parts of the world with similar traffic.
Interesting.
It seems the numbers just don't add up to support this whole cursed triangle idea.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? The power of a good story.
Yeah, we love our mysteries, don't we?
We do. But it's important to remember that a good story isn't always a true story.
Okay, so we've debunked a few myths, looked at some more plausible explanations, but this article also goes into some really interesting historical tidbits.
Yeah. Like what?
Well, one that caught my eye was about Atlantis, the lost city.
Right.
Some people believe that Atlantis sank somewhere in the Bermuda Triangle,
Oh, wow.
and that its advanced technology is somehow responsible for the disappearances.
Interesting.
Now, of course, there's no scientific evidence for any of that,
Of course.
but it's fun to think about, right?
Oh, definitely. It's a classic example of how myth and reality can get intertwined.
But it does make you wonder, why do these myths persist, even when there's no evidence?
I think it's because our brains are wired to look for patterns, even when they're not there. It's part of how we make sense of the world. But it can also lead us down some pretty strange paths.
So basically, our desire to make sense of things can actually lead to more mysteries.
You got it. We fill in the blanks with stories. And the Bermuda Triangle, with its mix of real dangers and unexplained events, it becomes a perfect breeding ground for those stories.
Right. It's like we can't resist a good mystery, even if we have to make it up ourselves.
Sometimes the truth just isn't as exciting, I guess.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
But, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a good story, right? As long as we remember that it is just a story.
Right.
The key is finding that balance between, well, being open to the wonder of it all, but also staying grounded in reality.
Being a healthy skeptic.
Exactly. Question what you hear, look for evidence. Sometimes the truth is more interesting than the myth.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about the Bermuda Triangle so far. Debunked some theories, looked at some more plausible explanations, even touched on psychology behind why we're so fascinated by it. But even after all this, I have to admit, there's still a part of me that's, well, drawn to the mystery of it all.
I get that. It's hard to resist a good mystery.
Why do you think that is? Why are we so drawn to the unknown?
I think it speaks to something deep within us,
Mm-hmm.
an awareness of how vast and powerful nature is and how small we are in comparison.
That sense of awe and wonder, that feeling that there are still things out there we don't understand.
Exactly. And even though science can explain a lot, there's always going to be that element of mystery, that reminder that the universe still holds secrets.
It's like that old saying, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. We've peeled back some layers of the Bermuda Triangle myth,
Right.
but there's still that sense of wonder, that little bit of mystery still lingers, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that's a good thing. It's that wonder that keeps us exploring, keeps us questioning, keeps us looking for answers.
It's the fuel for our curiosity, right?
Exactly.
But how do we balance that sense of wonder with the need to be critical thinkers?
Yeah.
To not just buy into every fantastical story we hear.
That's the challenge, isn't it? Finding that balance between being open-minded and being skeptical.
Right. We can be fascinated by the unexplained without throwing logic out the window.
Absolutely. It's about approaching it with a healthy dose of critical thinking.
Asking questions.
Looking for evidence.
Considering different explanations.
Exactly. It's like being a detective. You gather your clues, examine the evidence, and try to figure out what really happened.
And sometimes the simplest explanation, the one that fits the facts, is the most likely.
Often is.
So with the Bermuda Triangle, I mean, yeah, there might be a few incidents that are still unexplained, but most of them can probably be chalked up to things like weather,
A human error.
The inherent dangers of being out on the ocean.
That's right. And as technology improves and we learn more about how the world works, we might find that even those seemingly impossible events have perfectly rational explanations.
Yeah, it's like we're constantly pushing back the boundaries of what we know.
Right.
Shining a light on the mysteries that used to capture our imaginations.
Exactly. But there are always new mysteries to unravel, new things to discover.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
It is. The quest for knowledge never really ends.
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job of unpacking the Bermuda Triangle today. We've looked at the facts, the myths, the science behind it all.
We've also talked about how important it is to be a critical thinker, to be skeptical of things that sound too good to be true.
So to everyone listening, next time you hear a story about the Bermuda Triangle,
Or any other mystery, really.
remember what we talked about today. Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Dig a little deeper.
Look for the truth behind the legend, because sometimes the journey of discovery is more rewarding than the destination itself.
I like that.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, and never lose that sense of wonder. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
It's like we're seeing a pattern here, right? We've got this area with tons of ships and planes going through it, known for crazy weather and strong currents.
Right.
But anytime something happens,
Yeah.
we jump to these crazy explanations.
It's like the Bermuda Triangle is an easy way out,
Oh, yeah.
Instead of facing the fact that the ocean and the air, they can be dangerous places.
Yeah.
We just blame it on this mysterious force.
It's like a scapegoat.
Exactly.
And you know what's even weirder? This article says there's no evidence that pilots or ship captains actually avoid the area.
Really? You'd think they'd steer clear, right?
Yeah.
With all the stories.
Right. Like, wouldn't you think it would be like a no-fly zone or something?
Yeah.
But it's not. People still go through there all the time,
Oh.
which kind of tells you that the people who actually know the sea, know the air,
The pros.
yeah, they don't think it's any more dangerous than any other busy shipping route.
Interesting.
And to make things even more interesting, statistically, there's no more incidents in the Bermuda Triangle than in other busy parts of the ocean.
So the numbers don't back it up?
Nope. Doesn't seem like it.
The power of a good story, huh?
We humans love our mysteries, that's for sure.
We do. We do.
Okay, so we've debunked a few myths, looked at some more realistic explanations, but this article also has some pretty fascinating historical tidbits, too.
Oh. Like what?
Well, this one about the lost city of Atlantis.
Atlantis, yeah.
Yeah, some people actually think it sank somewhere in the Bermuda Triangle,
Wow.
and that its advanced technology is what causes all the disappearances.
Now that's a theory.
Right. Of course, there's zero scientific evidence to support any of that.
Right, right.
But it's a fun thought, isn't it?
It is. It's a good example of how myths can get mixed up with real-life mysteries.
But it does make you think, why are we so quick to believe these myths, even when there's no proof?
Well, think about it. Our brains are always trying to find patterns, even when they aren't there. We want to connect the dots, make sense of the world around us. But that instinct can sometimes lead us astray, especially when it comes to things we can't explain.
So you're saying our desire to understand things can actually create more mysteries?
In a way, yeah. We fill in the gaps with stories, and the Bermuda Triangle, with its real dangers and unexplained events, it's like a blank canvas for those stories.
We love to fill in the blanks,
We do.
even if it means making stuff up.
I guess sometimes the truth is just too boring.
Maybe.
But there's nothing wrong with enjoying a good story, as long as we remember that it's just that, a story.
Right.
It's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Being open to the wonder of the unknown, but also keeping our feet on the ground,
Being a healthy skeptic.
Exactly. Always question what you hear, look for evidence. Sometimes the truth is way more interesting than the myth, anyway.
Yeah, it's like that saying, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. We've learned a lot about the Bermuda Triangle,
Yeah.
debunked some myths, but still that sense of wonder, it's still there.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's what keeps us going, keeps us exploring, asking questions.
Yeah, it's like the fuel for our curiosity.
Right, exactly.
But how do we keep that sense of wonder without, just believing everything we hear?
Right. It's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Being open to the possibility of the unknown,
Mm-hmm.
but also being grounded in reality.
Being skeptical.
Right. Skeptical, but not cynical,
Yeah. So it's not about ignoring the mystery,
no.
but about approaching it with a critical eye.
Asking questions, looking for evidence, considering different explanations.
Like a detective, right?
Exactly. You gather your clues, you follow the evidence, and you try to find the most logical solution.
And sometimes the simplest answer.
Is the right one.
Yeah. So with the Bermuda Triangle, I mean, yeah, there might be some things we can't explain, but most of it can probably be explained by, weather, human error, those kinds of things.
Right. The ocean's a dangerous place. And as we learn more about it, about how things work, we might find that even those really strange events, they actually have pretty simple explanations.
It's like we're always pushing the boundaries of what we know.
Yeah.
Shedding light on those mysteries that used to, really capture our imagination.
Exactly. But there are always new mysteries to explore, too.
That's the fun part, isn't it?
Absolutely. It never ends, the quest for knowledge.
Well, I think we've done a pretty good job of exploring the Bermuda Triangle today.
Yeah, I think so.
We looked at the facts, the myths, the science, and maybe more importantly, we talked about how important it is to think for ourselves,
To not just take things at face value, to question what we hear, to look for the evidence.
Exactly. So for everyone listening, next time you hear a story about the Bermuda Triangle,
or Bigfoot, or UFOs, or whatever,
remember what we talked about today. Don't be afraid to dig a little deeper, to look for the truth.
Yeah, and don't lose that sense of wonder. The world's a fascinating place, full of mysteries. Keep exploring it.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep learning. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening, everybody.